Many live under the invisible weight of expectation, fear, judgment, and compromise. They reshape themselves to fit molds, to be liked and to be accepted. But there is another kind of man, one who walks with unseen purpose, one who does not bend for applause, one who is at ease with solitude, with integrity, and with a deeply anchored sense of self. He's rarely understood. He's often mistaken. He is, in the eyes of many, disruptive, provocative. This video is not for everyone. It may unsettle the timid. It may offend the dependent. It may irk the insecure. Because the truths spoken here are harsh only to those who have built their foundations on shifting sands. Yet to the rare few, those who carry more than a fragile identity, who stand on principles rather than opinions, who remain steady in storms, this message resonates. It affirms the path, even if it unsettles the crowd. Over the next few minutes, we will explore 6 truths about masculinity, high value, and inner sovereignty. Truths that most will reject, but only the Sigma-minded can truly internalize. If your foundation is built on fears, ego, or empty validation, you may feel irritated, defensive, or perhaps even angry. That is acceptable. Let that discomfort point. But if your spine is unyielding, your vision long, and your compass internal, sit with me. Watch patiently, listen deeply. Because while 99% of men may not make it through, you might. And if you do, these truths may sharpen you, awaken you, and orient you toward a more real, more mature way of being. This is not about hype or bravado. There will be no noise, no false promises, just calm clarity. Let us begin. Number 1, the truth that you are rarely understood. Many will call you aloof, cold, or unfeeling, not because you are, but because you reflect what they lack. Human beings are wired to project their insecurities onto others. Psychologists call this projection bias, a mental shortcut where we attribute our own emotions or limitations to someone else. When people see your calm composure, they interpret it through their own emotional chaos. Your silence makes them uncomfortable because it forces them to face their own noise. They call you distant when in truth you're simply grounded. This misunderstanding is common for Sigma males, men who operate outside traditional social hierarchies, while others crave validation and constant interaction. You thrive in independence. You're not driven by applause, but by purpose. Modern psychology recognizes this behavior as self-differentiation, the ability to maintain your sense of identity even when surrounded by pressure or disapproval. It's a trait of emotional maturity, not arrogance. Yet those who depend on social reinforcement can't comprehend it. To them, your refusal to play by the usual rules feels like rebellion, even a threat. Your focus is not detachment, it's discipline. While others scatter their energy across 1,000 shallow interactions, you invest deeply in a few meaningful pursuits. Neurological studies show that solitude can enhance creativity and emotional regulation. The brain's default mode network, active during quiet reflection, helps you process information and strengthen intuition. So when you retreat into silence, you're not avoiding life, you're mastering it. A Sigma male understands that not everyone is meant to understand him. He realizes that true connection requires resonance, not reach. You don't seek universal approval because you know authenticity filters your circle. It's not about being hard to read, it's about protecting what's sacred. You guard your energy the way a monk guards his peace, intentionally and without apology. Your calm presence becomes both a mirror and a measure. It reveals the insecurities of the insecure and comforts those who are equally grounded. So when they say you're cold, remember, it's their discomfort speaking. You've simply chosen clarity over chaos, solitude over superficiality, and peace over popularity. This isn't a flaw, it's your filter. In a world addicted to noise, your silence is your strength, your focus, your freedom, and your composure, your quiet rebellion. And those who can't handle that will never understand that power often whispers. It doesn't shout. Number 2, you cannot be measured by popular metrics. Popularity, fame, influence, social circles, external validation. These are the currencies of a noisy world, but they hold little weight in the life of a Sigma male. He walks outside the metrics that society worships. While others chase numbers, likes, and applause, he measures himself against something far deeper: integrity, purpose, and the quiet discipline that no one sees. In a culture where being visible is often mistaken for being valuable, the Sigma male understands that silence can carry more strength than shouting ever could. True value for him begins where pretension ends. It is not about what he shows, but what he sustains. Integrity is his foundation, doing the right thing even when there's no audience, no praise, and no recognition. Psychologically, this reflects what researchers call internal locus of control, the belief that one's outcomes depend on inner choices and effort, not on external circumstances. People with this mindset tend to be more confident, resilient, and independent thinkers, traits that define the Sigma identity. Presence is another key element. In a distracted world, presence is power. A Sigma male doesn't need to dominate the room. He commands it by simply being grounded. This state of calm awareness, often linked to mindfulness in psychology, increases emotional intelligence and self-regulation. Instead of reacting impulsively, he responds deliberately. This emotional mastery is what keeps him steady when others crumble under stress or ego. Purpose, too, is his compass. While many drift in search of validation, the Sigma operates with quiet certainty. Studies in motivation show that intrinsic goals, growth, meaning, and contribution, lead to higher fulfillment than extrinsic ones like money or fame. The Sigma's fulfillment comes not from applause, but from alignment, doing what feels right, even when it's hard. And when the world counts social proof, he counts consistency. His discipline is invisible, the unseen hours of work, reflection, and improvement that no one claps for. Yet it's this invisible labor that builds his visible strength. His standards are internal, not dictated by trends, but shaped by timeless values. So yes, you may lack numbers, you may not have a cheering crowd, but your worth isn't measured in followers, it's written in your quiet persistence, your unwavering principles, and the unshaken calm of a man who no longer needs the world's approval to know his own value. Number 3, you reject emotional conformity. Many people will demand that you feel, behave, and respond in ways that align with their emotional expectations. They want you to validate them, to reassure them, and to mirror their moods so they feel seen and understood. But a Sigma male, the man who walks his own path, understands a powerful truth. Emotional maturity means you are not responsible for managing the emotions of others. You can care without conforming, and you can feel deeply without being ruled by those feelings. A Sigma male's emotional restraint is not coldness, it's control. In psychology, this is often referred to as emotional regulation, the ability to manage one's emotions consciously rather than reacting impulsively. It's a sign of higher emotional intelligence, and studies show that people who practice it tend to experience greater stability, less stress, and better relationships. Sigma males excel here because they understand that peace of mind is a currency more valuable than approval. They don't suppress emotions, they master them. They know when to speak and when silence is wiser. They know when to engage and when to retreat. This self-command often confuses others. People who depend on external validation see emotional independence as rejection. They think distance means disinterest, when in truth it's discernment. The Sigma male knows that not every battle deserves his energy, and not every emotion needs to be shared. Instead of reacting to every emotional tug, he observes, reflects, and chooses his response deliberately. This discipline makes him unshakable in chaotic situations and mysterious to those who crave constant reassurance. Socially, this can be unsettling. Many individuals are conditioned to measure connection by emotional display. They expect visible empathy, dramatic reactions, or verbal comfort. When they encounter someone who doesn't perform these scripts, they misinterpret it as arrogance or detachment. But emotional maturity isn't about detachment. It's about self-preservation. The Sigma male knows that constantly catering to others' feelings can drain his vitality and compromise his authenticity. And that's why his quiet confidence often offends. People accustomed to emotional control over others find no leverage with him. His calmness disrupts their need for validation. His composure exposes their instability. Yet this is his power, the ability to remain centered, composed, and unbothered in a world addicted to emotional chaos. The Sigma male teaches us a vital lesson. True strength isn't in reacting to everything that moves you. It's in mastering yourself so completely that you choose what deserves your energy and what doesn't. Number 4, you hold yourself to invisible standards. Ordinary men chase after visible milestones. They compete over who has the biggest house, the most followers, or the flashiest achievements. Their worth is often built on external validation, applause, comparison, and approval. But Sigma males operate differently. Their compass points inward. They hold themselves to invisible standards that have nothing to do with how the world perceives them. To a Sigma, integrity isn't a public performance. It's a private code. His discipline doesn't depend on an audience, and his respect for himself remains even when no one is watching. Psychologists describe this as intrinsic motivation, the drive to act based on personal values rather than external rewards. It's what separates those who seek recognition from those who seek mastery. When a man is intrinsically motivated, he works just as hard in silence as he does under the spotlight. He doesn't post his grind online to prove his worth. He does the work because it's aligned with who he is. This is why Sigma men often seem mysterious. They don't advertise their progress at all, but it shows in their results, in their calm, and in their unshakable confidence. The real measure of character isn't seen when life goes well, but when everything falls apart. When a man loses his job, his reputation, or his relationships, how he responds defines his strength. Sigma males maintain dignity in chaos. They understand that control isn't found in circumstances, but in self-discipline. Studies in emotional resilience show that people who cultivate self-regulation the ability to manage emotions and stay composed under stress, are far more likely to recover from setbacks and thrive long term. This quiet endurance is the Sigma's signature power. Imagine a room with no applause, no recognition, and no validation. Most people would stop trying, but a Sigma keeps going. His standard remains the same, whether seen or unseen, praised or ignored. He lives by principles, not popularity. His success doesn't depend on who's watching. It depends on his own reflection in the mirror. That's the essence of invisible strength. While the world celebrates loud victories, the Sigma celebrates quiet consistency. Because in the end, it's not what you do when everyone's watching that defines you. It's what you do when the lights go out and the only audience left is your conscience. Number 5, you understand that freedom isn't popular. True freedom is not a gift wrapped in ease. It's a fire forged through trial. It is the quiet privilege earned by those who choose self-mastery over validation, purpose over pleasure, and solitude over conformity. To walk freely as a man, especially as a Sigma male, means to carry the weight of independence without complaint. It demands solitude, not the loneliness that stems from isolation, but the stillness required to hear one's own mind amid the noise of the world. In that silence, a man meets himself, his fears, his truths, his weaknesses, and learns to master them instead of running away. Most men chase acceptance. They want the warmth of crowds, the applause of peers, and the reassurance that they belong. But the moment you crave the crowd, you hand over your power. Freedom, in contrast, thrives on boundaries. It's the ability to say no when the world demands yes. It's knowing that comfort is often the disguise of control. In evolutionary psychology, humans are wired for social belonging. It increases survival chances. Yet history's great reformers, thinkers, and visionaries, from Marcus Aurelius to Nikola Tesla, proved that solitude is the soil where genius grows. They embrace silence not as emptiness, but as clarity. The Sigma male understands this paradox deeply. He knows that sovereignty carries conflict as its shadow. To think differently means to be doubted. To move alone means to be misunderstood. But he accepts that tension as the price of authenticity. Every man who ever broke free from mediocrity had to first endure resistance from others and from within himself. It is in those unseen battles that character is built. The Sigma's struggle isn't about conquering the world, it's about conquering himself. True freedom, therefore, isn't the absence of responsibility. It's the power to choose your responsibilities wisely. It's the courage to lose what doesn't align with your path, be it people, comfort, or approval. In a society addicted to noise and external validation, silence becomes rebellion. A Sigma male learns to draw strength from it. His solitude is not a cage, it's a crucible. Every moment of loss refines him, every unseen struggle strengthens him. And when the world finally wonders how he became so calm, so unshakable, the answer will be simple. He chose freedom and paid its price. Number 6, you focus on legacy over agreement. Many men spend their lives trying to win arguments, to be liked, or to gain the approval of others. They crave validation as a sign of success. But the Sigma male operates on an entirely different wavelength. He is not driven by recognition, but by quiet excellence. While others debate to prove their worth, he focuses on building something real, his legacy, his craft, his purpose. He understands that words fade, but results endure. This mindset mirrors the philosophy of the Stoics, who taught that character and action define a man, not his reputation. The Sigma male doesn't beg for approval because he knows that true respect cannot be demanded. It must be earned through consistency and integrity. Instead of seeking attention, he plants seeds, ideas, habits, and projects that grow over time. Like an architect sketching a masterpiece in silence, he measures twice and acts once. This patience and precision often set him apart in a world obsessed with instant gratification. Psychologically, this aligns with what researchers call intrinsic motivation, where a person acts not for external rewards, but for the satisfaction of mastery and purpose. His movements are deliberate. He observes before he speaks, listens before he leads, and acts before he boasts. In a sense, the Sigma male is the embodiment of quiet confidence, someone who understands that legacy isn't built in the spotlight, but in the shadows of steady effort. In time, his work becomes undeniable. The right people will see it, value it, and align with it. The wrong ones, blinded by noise and envy, will miss it entirely. And that's perfectly fine with him, because he was never working for their approval in the first place. These 6 truths may strike at the core of who you think you are, and that's exactly their purpose. Growth rarely comes wrapped in comfort. It often arrives disguised as discomfort, as moments that challenge your pride and strip away false layers of identity. Modern masculinity often glorifies status, dominance, or validation from others, but genuine strength is quieter. It's found in emotional discipline, purpose, and the ability to act with integrity even when no one is watching. Psychology calls this doing what's right because it aligns with your values, not because it earns applause. The more you root yourself in this inner sovereignty, the less the world can sway you. Let your actions, not your words, speak your evolution. Imagine a force so quiet, so patient, that its presence is only felt in hindsight. A man who speaks little, moves with restraint, and discerns with sharp clarity. And yet when he acts, his influence ripples far beyond his immediate reach. This is not the loud, showy power of domination. It is the power of Sigma intelligence. Many speak of alpha strength, muscle, dominance, authority, but here lies a different kind of potency, subtle, deep, internal, one that few recognize, fewer understand, yet many fear. It's a form of control without coercion, authority without spectacle, and wisdom that disarms while commanding respect. In a world that measures success by noise, claims, and speed, Sigma intelligence moves in silence. It sees cracks where others only see surface. It waits, calibrates, and strikes when the moment is ripe. It undermines illusions, restructures internal maps, and shifts the trajectory of systems from within. This isn't about flashy tactics or quick formulas. It's about uncovering why this type of intelligence is the most dangerous kind of power. Dangerous not because it destroys, but because its effects are slow, subtle, and irrevocable. When a Sigma male's insight meets persistence, entire patterns of behavior, belief, and dominance collapse before they even realize it. Over the next few minutes, we will explore 6 dimensions of this power: how a Sigma male's cognition, restraint, patience, moral backbone, strategic depth, and visionary silence merge into a force few can resist, and fewer still can counter. I invite you to lean in quietly. Let go of noise. Observe the spaces between the words. Let what is revealed seep in. Because when this kind of strength speaks, it often whispers, and that is how it changes everything. Let us begin. Number 1, perceptual precision, seeing beyond the surface. Silence sharpens observation. For the Sigma male, silence isn't just the absence of sound, it's a tool of perception, a space where the world reveals what it usually hides. When others rush to speak, he listens. When they react, he studies. This quiet awareness allows him to pick up on subtleties that most overlook, the quick glance of uncertainty, the forced laughter masking insecurity, and the way someone's words contradict their energy. Modern psychology calls this the ability to detect fleeting emotional cues that last less than a second. Sigma males seem naturally tuned to it. They sense tension behind a smile or the inconsistency in someone's tone. Not because they're suspicious, but because their minds are trained to notice what's. This trait gives them a psychological advantage. Studies in behavioral science reveal that those who observe more than they speak are better at identifying patterns in human behavior, and Sigma males instinctively use this to navigate life. They don't follow the herd's interpretation of events, they form their own. When a group reaches consensus too quickly, the Sigma male steps back, watching the dynamics unfold. He questions, dissects, and reassembles the information internally until the truth becomes clear. That's why he often spots the cracks in systems, relationships, and power structures long before others do. It's not arrogance, it's accuracy. Because he trusts his own discernment over popular opinion, he intercepts error before it manifests. In workplaces, this means seeing a project's weak link before it fails. In relationships, it means detecting manipulation before it becomes damage. In society, it means recognizing patterns of control or conformity that others unconsciously submit to. His mind is like a map maker's. It draws invisible fault lines, connecting causes to effects, motives to actions, and lies to outcomes. This heightened awareness explains why Sigma males are rarely surprised. They live in a state of calm anticipation, not paranoia, but preparedness. Neuroscientifically, this could be linked to their overactive prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for planning, foresight, and emotional regulation. They read situations like a chessboard, always a few moves ahead. When they finally act, it's never impulsive, it's deliberate, precise, and often silent. To outsiders, it seems as though they appear from nowhere and shift everything with a single calculated move. But in truth, their power lies not in reaction, but in observation. For the Sigma male, silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. It's the quiet that cuts through noise to reveal what's real. Number 2, internal restraint, power held in reserve. One of the most dangerous powers is the one never fully unleashed. A Sigma male understands this truth deeply. His restraint is not born from fear, but from principle. He could dominate conversations, impose his will, or chase validation like others do, but he doesn't. Instead, he chooses his words and actions with precision. This ability to hold back, to move only when necessary, is what makes his presence so powerful. It's a quiet authority that commands attention without demanding it. In psychology, this behavior aligns with the concept of self-regulation, the ability to manage one's impulses, emotions, and behaviors to achieve long-term goals. Research shows that those who master self-regulation often outperform others in leadership, creativity, and decision-making. The Sigma male embodies this mastery. He's not impulsive, he's intentional. His restraint is his weapon, sharpening his influence because every move he makes carries meaning. Unlike those who constantly seek validation through dominance displays or endless talking, the Sigma male is comfortable with silence. Silence to him is not weakness, it's control. It unsettles those who depend on noise to feel important. By conserving energy, he avoids emotional exhaustion and gains clarity. In this stillness, he observes, learns, and calculates. And when he finally chooses to act, his impact is amplified, not spread thin across meaningless efforts. This pattern mirrors the behavior of great strategists and thinkers in history, figures like Marcus Aurelius, who preached discipline and calm judgment, or Miyamoto Musashi, the Japanese samurai who wrote the Book of Five Rings, emphasizing restraint as the path to mastery. Both understood that true strength doesn't need to announce itself. It simply is. The Sigma's power then lies not in how often he acts, but in when he acts. Every word is measured, every gesture is deliberate. His restraint creates mystery, his timing builds respect, and his silence draws attention more effectively than noise ever could. In a world obsessed with constant motion and endless self-promotion, the Sigma male stands apart, calm, composed, and dangerous in his quietness. Because when a man who rarely speaks decides to move, everyone listens. And that, more than anything else, is the essence of controlled power. Number 3, longevity through patience. Impulse is the opposite of danger because it exposes itself. When a person acts impulsively, their intentions are loud and predictable. Their energy flares up quickly but fades just as fast. Everyone can see where it's coming from, and that makes it easy to resist. Impulsive power burns bright, but it lacks endurance. It's the shout that startles but doesn't echo. In contrast, the Sigma man understands that true power doesn't announce itself. It accumulates quietly, building like pressure beneath the earth until one day it shifts everything above it. Sigma power is patient and deliberate. It doesn't chase immediate gratification or visible recognition. It invests in the long game, small habits, quiet preparation, and unbroken focus. Each decision is a brick in a structure few can see being built until it towers over everything else. Science even supports this truth. Studies on delayed gratification, like the famous Stanford marshmallow experiment, revealed that those who could resist short-term impulses often achieved greater long-term success in career, relationships, and health. The Sigma archetype embodies that principle naturally. He's not interested in the flash of today when he's mastering the game of decades. Think of water dripping on stone. Each drop seems insignificant, yet over time it carves entire valleys and reshapes landscapes. That's how Sigma influence works. Slow, consistent, and often unnoticed until it's irreversible. People around him can't pinpoint when things changed. They just wake up one day realizing that his presence has reshaped the dynamic, redefined the standards, and commanded quiet respect. His power is not in the act, but in the accumulation. This kind of patience-based dominance is rooted in psychological stability. In a world driven by dopamine and instant feedback, those who stay calm under chaos hold the real advantage. Neuroscientists have found that impulsive behavior often stems from an overactive amygdala, the brain's emotional center, while self-controlled individuals engage the prefrontal cortex, the seat of logic and foresight. The Sigma man's restraint isn't repression, it's mastery of self. Over time, his patterns create ripples that others start to follow unconsciously. He influences through example, not enforcement, through consistency, not control. While others react, he adapts. While others chase, he observes. And one day, the same world that underestimated his silence begins to move to the rhythm he set without even realizing it. Number 4, moral gravity, influence without force. True influence doesn't roar it resonates. For the Sigma male, power is not found in domination or charisma, but in the seamless alignment between what he says and what he does. Integrity is his silent authority. In psychology, this is referred to as authenticity congruence, a state where one's internal values, words, and actions are harmoniously aligned. When a man consistently embodies this, people sense it instinctively. His presence carries weight because it is grounded in truth. Others feel drawn toward him, not out of fear, but because his steadiness feels safe in a world filled with contradictions. The Sigma male's strength lies in his internal calibration. He doesn't perform to impress or manipulate perceptions. Instead, his actions are guided by conviction. Studies on leadership show that individuals who operate from integrity rather than authority inspire deeper loyalty and trust. When followers perceive a leader as morally consistent, their commitment becomes intrinsic, not based on rewards or punishment, but genuine respect. This is why Sigma intelligence holds quiet power. It doesn't demand loyalty, it earns it effortlessly. Unlike those who lead through hierarchy or intimidation, the Sigma male leads through example. His boundaries are clear, not walls of pride, but lines of self-respect. Boundaries communicate self-awareness, showing others that his energy and principles are non-negotiable. This calm firmness disarms manipulation and commands admiration. It's why in social dynamics, integrity acts like gravity, an invisible pull that draws people closer while exposing those who operate in deceit. What makes such integrity dangerous isn't aggression, it's illumination. Systems built on lies, hypocrisy, or pretense cannot withstand someone who lives in truth. His mere presence becomes a mirror reflecting the faults of corrupted structures. History is filled with figures who embodied this quiet defiance. Socrates, Gandhi, and even modern reformers whose integrity challenged entire systems. They didn't seek confrontation, yet their consistency became revolutionary. In a world where perception often outruns reality, the Sigma male's moral clarity restores balance. He doesn't just influence others, he stabilizes environments. His strength is not reactive, but responsive, not boastful, but deliberate. This is why people trust him, even when they can't fully explain why. True power isn't about bending others to your will. It's about standing so firmly in your truth that the world quietly rearranges itself around you. Number 5, strategic silence, the quiet reshaper. He speaks less, but when he does, he shapes narratives. His silence itself is leverage. In a world that rewards noise, the man who masters silence becomes a strategist. Silence is not emptiness, it is information. Psychologists call it the pause effect, a communication tool where moments of quiet create psychological tension, prompting others to fill the void. In that space, people often reveal what they were trying to conceal. This is why great negotiators, interrogators, and leaders know the value of restraint. The Sigma man doesn't rush to speak because he understands that every word carries weight. When words are rare, they become valuable. In debates, his silence unsettles the loud. When others scramble to justify, explain, or dominate, he listens. Studies in behavioral communication show that people who maintain eye contact and remain calm during arguments are often perceived as more confident and intelligent, even if they speak less. Silence, then, is not passivity, it's power. It makes others question their assumptions, re-examine their stance, and often expose their inconsistencies. By not reacting impulsively, he gains a panoramic view of the situation, identifying patterns others miss. In relationships, this same silence disarms manipulation. When someone expects anger or an emotional reaction but receives calm indifference instead, they lose their leverage. The Sigma male uses silence like a chess master uses time, strategically. Each pause, each withheld word builds pressure, forcing opponents to make moves out of discomfort. In psychology, this phenomenon is linked to cognitive dissonance. When people are left uncertain about what you think, their minds fill in the gaps, often assuming you hold more power or knowledge than you've revealed. Silence becomes a mirror reflecting others' fears, insecurities, and intentions. He lets them talk, expose themselves, and reveal weaknesses. Then, with a few words, a question, an observation, a truth, he redefines the conversation. His restraint also acts as a filter. By not over-explaining, he discovers who truly understands him and who only listens to respond. This quality earns him respect over time because true authority doesn't shout, it stands still and waits. The man who speaks less but observes more wields control, not through dominance, but through understanding. When he finally speaks, his words don't just end discussions, they redirect them. That is the hidden art of silence, not withdrawal, but mastery over the unseen forces of attention, timing, and truth. Number 6, vision beyond the now. Most men are trapped in the urgency of the now. They hustle to win arguments, gain attention, or secure quick victories. But Sigma intelligence operates on a different wavelength. It doesn't chase the present, it shapes the future. The Sigma man studies the undercurrents of human behavior, technology, and culture. He notices patterns long before others recognize them, much like a chess master who anticipates not just the next move, but the entire endgame. His mind isn't confined to trends or social validation. Instead, it functions like a strategist's map, always several steps ahead. This forward-thinking ability stems from independence. Because he isn't enslaved by the need for approval or applause, the Sigma male can think long-term without being distracted by the noise of the crowd. Psychologists call this trait delayed gratification, the capacity to resist immediate rewards for greater future outcomes. Studies, such as the famous Stanford marshmallow experiment, revealed that individuals who mastered this principle were more successful, disciplined, and visionary. The Sigma embodies this fully. He invests in the unseen, knowing that true power lies not in reacting, but in predicting and preparing. To the untrained eye, his patience looks like passivity, but beneath that calm exterior lies a calculating precision. He observes systems, trends, and human motives, connecting dots invisible to most. While others panic during chaos, he perceives structure. His intuition aligns with what futurists describe as pattern recognition, the skill to identify repeating cycles in complex data. From market shifts to social evolution, he can forecast where energy, attention, and influence will flow next. This foresight allows him to quietly position himself before the wave hits. And when it does, he doesn't merely adapt, he redefines the landscape. This is why Sigma intelligence is often misunderstood, yet feared. When combined with patience, integrity, and quiet consistency, it transcends individual success. It starts to alter narratives, organizations, and even generations. History remembers such men, not because they shouted the loudest, but because they built foundations that others would later walk upon. In a world obsessed with speed, the Sigma male's timeless strategy is his greatest weapon, not to dominate the moment, but to command the centuries that follow. Power is often portrayed as dominance and aggression, but true power, the kind that endures, is quiet, deliberate, and transformative. Sigma intelligence is dangerous, not because it destroys, but because it redefines. If you walk the Sigma path, cultivate perception, practice restraint, invest in patience, guard your integrity, and master silence, over time, your strength will outlast noise. Thank you for reflecting with me. Let these thoughts settle. Return to them when you need clarity. In time, you'll not only become a man of value, but also a man of silent consequence. Until next time, walk your path with clarity, dignity, and quiet force. Imagine for a moment you are in a room. The lights are dim, the sounds muffled, and conversations drift in fragments. People around you move as shadows, engaging, pretending, and filtering what they say. But there is one person. He sits quietly, unhurried, not seeking attention, not demanding, simply observing. Over time you feel it as though his eyes, not glaring but calm, trace your patterns. He senses when you shift your posture, when your tone tightens. He knows unspoken things. That is the quiet power of a Sigma male. He doesn't need to dominate space. He exists in space. And yet in his stillness, he discerns truths others are too loud to see. He sees through postures, pretenses, and masks. He reads the lines between words, the hesitation before a reply, and the flicker of an eyebrow. This ability isn't supernatural. It's refined observation, emotional clarity, pattern recognition, and deep self-mastery working together. Over years of watching, listening, and absorbing the small details humans naturally drop. But there is something more. A Sigma male sees not only what is presented, but also what is omitted. He senses the hollow silence behind the sentences, the fracture where confidence crumbles. He recognizes urgency disguised as calm. He perceives not just who you are, but who you pretend to be. In this video, we will walk gently through 6 core ways a Sigma male can see straight through others, the subtle faculties, the mindset, and the habits. These are not tricks or manipulations. They are quiet truths of perception, built over time, grounded in presence. As you listen, I invite you to remain open, reflect on yourself, and not judge. Because beneath every surface is complexity, and the more you embrace depth, the more you align with what truly is. Now let us begin. Let us explore how a Sigma male sees and what that can teach you quietly, steadily, deeply. Number 1, he notices mismatch between words and emotion. Most people communicate on a surface level, their words often serving as masks that conceal what they truly feel. But a Sigma male operates differently. His mind is wired to listen beyond speech, beyond the comfort of what's said aloud. To him, words are merely one part of the story. The tone, the pace, the rhythm, the pauses, these tell the truth that the mouth won't. This heightened perception isn't magic. It's a product of deep awareness and refined emotional intelligence, a skill psychologists call high social sensitivity. Studies in behavioral psychology show that the human voice carries micro signals of stress, confidence, and deceit that can be detected subconsciously by attentive listeners. The Sigma doesn't just hear, he listens between the lines. When someone says, "I'm fine," most people take it at face value. The Sigma doesn't. He catches the millisecond pause before the phrase, the subtle tension in the throat, and the exhale that lingers a second too long. His intuition flags the mismatch between words and energy. In psychology, this mismatch is known as incongruence, when verbal and non-verbal cues don't align. For instance, a smile paired with crossed arms or a cheerful tone, shadowed by shallow breathing, reveals more than the words themselves. The Sigma male recognizes that truth often hides in these tiny gaps. Over time, he trains his mind to maintain what can be called dual awareness, a balance between the outer world of speech and the inner resonance of feeling. This ability makes him a quiet observer, capable of sensing what others overlook. While most people are distracted by the noise of conversation, he's mapping emotional frequencies, noting patterns and catching inconsistencies. It's like reading a second language, one written in energy rather than ink. This awareness gives the Sigma a form of silent power. It's not manipulation or control, it's understanding. By sensing the energy beneath words, he gains access to the emotional truth of any moment. In business meetings, relationships, or casual conversations, this sensitivity allows him to see through facades and understand intentions before they're revealed. The world may call it intuition or a gut feeling, but for the Sigma, it's a cultivated skill, a quiet mastery of human perception. And that's what makes him both mysterious and formidable. He listens not with his ears, but with his entire being. Number 2, he discerns patterns in behavior, not isolated acts. A Sigma male is not easily fooled by appearances. He doesn't base his understanding of people on what they say once or how they behave in one isolated moment. Instead, he studies consistency, the rhythm behind their choices, the tone behind their words, and the subtleties of their reactions. Where most people judge by snapshots, he sees the entire film. A single lie, a forgotten promise, or a minor omission might seem trivial to others. But to a Sigma, these are data points. They don't shock him, they inform him. He observes whether these moments repeat, whether they emerge under stress, or when someone believes no one is watching. Over time, these fragments form a pattern, and that pattern is what he trusts. In psychology, this habit aligns with the concept of behavioral pattern recognition. Studies show that people reveal their true nature, not through grand gestures, but through micro-behaviors, their reactions to discomfort, how they treat those with less power, and how they handle accountability. Sigma males instinctively pick up on these cues. It's not that they are suspicious by nature. Rather, they are deeply analytical. They understand that character is not built on performance, but on repetition. One act of kindness may be strategic, but sustained integrity can't be faked. This ability gives the Sigma an advantage in social dynamics. While others may be swayed by charm or appearances, he remains grounded in observation. He's not easily manipulated by flattery or guilt, because his mind filters through evidence, not emotion. Neurologically, this kind of awareness resembles a heightened level of cognitive empathy, the ability to perceive and interpret patterns in human behavior without emotional bias. Sigma males don't confront immediately or expose what they know. They wait. They allow truth to unfold naturally, revealing who someone truly is without forcing it. The deeper truth is that this approach protects their peace. By recognizing patterns, they avoid chaos. By studying consistency, they avoid betrayal. And by reading between the lines, they connect only with people whose actions align with their words. It's not about judgment. It's about discernment. In a world filled with masks and performances, the Sigma male's quiet intelligence comes from his patience to see what others overlook. That time always exposes truth and behavior, repeated over moments, not claimed in words, is the clearest language of the soul. Number 3, He maps emotional states, not just logical claims. Humans are complex beings woven from both reason and emotion. Logic helps us interpret the world, but emotion gives color to every experience, shaping our choices and reactions. A Sigma male, the archetype of quiet intelligence and self-mastery, understands this intricate balance. He doesn't merely listen to words, he studies the emotional current flowing beneath them. Every tone, pause, and gesture becomes data in his silent analysis. While others may take communication at face value, the Sigma male reads between the lines, where truth often hides. Through observation, he learns to detect what psychology calls emotional leakage, the subtle cues that escape our conscious control. For example, when someone feels nervous, micro-expressions flicker across their face for less than half a second. These fleeting movements, tightening lips, raised brows, or averted eyes, reveal internal conflict. Studies by psychologist Paul Ekman show that even the best liars struggle to suppress such signals completely. The Sigma male, often introverted and observant by nature, excels at catching these moments that most people overlook. In a conversation, he listens not just to the message, but to the music of the message, the rhythm of speech and the rise and fall of emotion. If someone speaks too quickly, he senses anxiety. If their laughter sounds forced, he registers insecurity. When a person over-explains or tries too hard to impress, he identifies the undertone of self-doubt. Even silence speaks to him. A defensive pause, a heavy sigh, or a sudden shift in posture reveals volumes. Over time, this awareness sharpens into instinct, allowing him to recognize patterns others miss. What sets the Sigma male apart isn't cold detachment, but emotional intelligence guided by restraint. He doesn't rush to judge or react. Instead, he interprets. His goal isn't to expose or manipulate, but to understand human nature at its rawest level. By reading emotional residue, the subtle traces left behind after every interaction, he discerns truth from pretense. This skill helps him navigate relationships, leadership, and social dynamics with calm precision. In essence, the Sigma male operates like a psychological mirror. People sense that he sees them even when he says nothing. That quiet awareness can be disarming or enlightening, depending on what they're hiding. His power lies not in dominance, but in perception, the ability to understand emotion without becoming controlled by it. Number 4, he observes what people avoid, not just what they do. What someone refuses to speak about often reveals more than the words they do share. Silence can be a powerful signal, a subtle language that communicates fear, insecurity, or even guilt. When people avoid certain topics, change the subject, or respond with vague answers, it's rarely random. These reactions serve as protective mechanisms that shield hidden emotions or truths they are not ready to confront. Psychologists call this avoidance behavior, a defense strategy our minds use to reduce emotional discomfort. But to someone deeply observant, like a Sigma male, these silences are not empty spaces, they are filled with meaning. When a Sigma male asks a question, he's not just interested in the answer, he's studying everything that happens in the space between words. The pauses, the nervous laughter, the sudden subject change. All of these reveal more about a person's internal world than direct statements ever could. For example, if you ask someone about their past relationships and they instantly deflect with humor or irritation, that response alone tells a story. It suggests pain, unresolved emotion, or fear of vulnerability. In psychology, these small signals are known as micro-expressions and verbal leakage. tiny slips of authenticity that escape even the most guarded individuals. Unlike others who might overlook such details, the Sigma male thrives in observation. He maps the unspoken terrain of a conversation the way an investigator studies clues. Where others see a simple topic shift, he sees a blind spot. Where others accept a surface answer, he hears the tension beneath the tone. By mentally connecting these patterns, he can often discern what a person fears being seen for, what they regret, or what image they're trying to preserve. This ability isn't mystical. It's a combination of heightened emotional intelligence, social awareness, and years of self-reliance that train him to read human nature beyond appearances. The fascinating part is that what people hide is often more revealing than what they showcase. Someone may talk endlessly about their success, but grow silent when asked about purpose or happiness. That silence itself becomes an answer. To the Sigma, those avoided topics are emotional footprints, guiding him toward a deeper understanding of who someone really is beneath the persona. While others are distracted by what's said, the Sigma listens to what isn't. And in that quiet, he uncovers truth. Number 5, he maintains psychological distance to preserve objectivity. To see clearly, one must avoid being enmeshed. A Sigma male understands this principle deeply. His strength lies not in loudness or dominance, but in detachment, a rare form of psychological composure that allows him to read people without losing himself in their emotions. Unlike those who rush to judge or react, he stays still, inwardly observant and calm. This quiet boundary he maintains is not arrogance. It is awareness. By keeping his ego and desires in check, he ensures that what he sees is truth, not projection. In psychology, this state of subtle detachment is often linked to emotional regulation and metacognition, the ability to think about one's own thoughts. A Sigma male practices both unconsciously. He can enter a social situation and instantly sense the energy, tension, and motives at play without being consumed by them. It's not that he doesn't feel, it's that he doesn't let feelings cloud perception. This gives him the clarity of an observer in a crowded room, present yet untouched. Where others get lost in the emotional fog of validation or rejection, he remains grounded in his internal compass. This mental clarity allows him to see structures behind words, patterns in tone, inconsistencies in behavior, and the emotional subtext hidden beneath casual conversation. It's similar to what behavioral psychologists call cold reading, a heightened sensitivity to micro-expressions and speech patterns that reveal hidden motives. The Sigma male's intuition works like an internal scanner, quietly processing data that most overlook. Yet, his strength isn't just in perception, it's in restraint. He knows when not to speak, when silence reveals more than questions ever could. By maintaining a deliberate psychological distance, he avoids projection, the human tendency to see one's own fears, hopes, or biases in others. He doesn't assume, he observes. He doesn't chase narratives built by society or emotion. Instead, he measures people's actions against his own core principles. This objectivity protects him from manipulation and social illusion. People might call him cold, but that calmness is his defense against chaos. In a world where emotions often hijack reason, the Sigma male's detachment becomes a superpower. It is not disinterest, it's discipline. To see clearly, one must first step back from the noise, and that's exactly what he does. Through quiet separation, he gains vision. Through silence, understanding. And in a society obsessed with reacting, His ability to simply observe is what makes him truly powerful. Number 6, he reflects and integrates, not reacts immediately. Finally, he does not rush to judgment. After perceiving subtle signals, a mismatch between words and tone, inconsistencies in behavior, emotional undercurrents, and unspoken avoidances, he does something most people rarely do. He pauses. He lets his subconscious process the information, allowing intuition and logic to merge. This is not hesitation, but precision. In psychology, this is known as reflective thinking, a mental process that helps filter emotion from perception. It's how analytical minds avoid snap decisions driven by bias or ego. During this quiet phase, the Sigma male's brain engages in what cognitive scientists call pattern integration, the ability to subconsciously connect details until clarity emerges. He allows time for his mind to test theories, question assumptions, and seek subtle confirmations. While others rush to speak, he listens to the silence, and when he finally responds, his words carry weight, not because they're loud, but because they're deliberate. His calm certainty makes people feel as though he already knew. This isn't magic or manipulation. It's psychological mastery. What people interpret as mind reading is actually a byproduct of delayed cognition, the mental discipline of waiting until a thought matures before action. This rare patience gives him an aura of depth and mystery. Neuroscience even supports this. Studies on decision-making show that individuals who pause before reacting often access the prefrontal cortex, the brain's rational command center, allowing them to respond with wisdom rather than impulse. That is why the Sigma male appears to see through others. He doesn't guess. He observes. He doesn't rush. He reflects. And through this deliberate stillness, insight unfolds naturally, making him not just perceptive, but profoundly aware. Seeing straight through others is not about manipulation or superiority. It's about integrity, clarity, and rigorous self-discipline. It begins within, with emotional stability, self-awareness, and a quiet mind. Over time, you sharpen your lens. You let life show you. You listen to shadows, silence, and subtle dissonance. If you practice these 6 approaches, noticing mismatch, discerning patterns, mapping emotions, observing avoidance, maintaining distance, and reflecting, you will gradually tone your perception. You will see more truth in less time. You will exude quiet depth. Others may not understand how, but they will feel the clarity. If this resonates, pause. Reflect on your recent conversations. Which of these points can you begin to train today? The path is not fast, it is patient. Silent, steady,